With all of that in mind, let's bring in Dana Osgood. I think that was a great way to describe it, blown around like a rag doll.
Right.
Absolutely. We can even just hear it in the studio.
It's
It
whistling.
kind of just sounds like a banging sound outside. So it's been very windy. It's been very rainy throughout the entirety of the day. It's a more intense version of the storm that we saw earlier this week. Or earlier last week rather. And if you can see the tower camera here, if you see it's kind of shaking around a little bit, that's just the amount of wind that we have here has been moving this camera around. Currently 56 degrees, so it's very warm outside, but you're not going to really be able to enjoy it with all of the wind and rain out there. These are the highest wind gusts that we saw throughout the day today. A lot of us gusting between 50 and 60 miles per hour, 68 mile per hour gust in Bangor today. So overall that has been very, very windy, and it's caused a lot of downed trees, down power lines, and power outages as well. We are still seeing a lot of high wind gusts, especially in eastern Maine. Some of our ASOS stations or automated weather stations have gone down, so they're not reporting in the numbers, but we are still going to see some of these high wind gusts as we go over the next couple of hours, and they won't start to calm down really until we begin to go into the overnight hours. Now, we've also had a lot of rain moving through today, and that combined with the snowmelt, especially in the mountains, has caused a lot of issues with flooding today. We're kind of in that last heavy band of rain. We have started to see some clearing down to our south, and that clearing will continue over the next couple of hours, but we still have a couple more hours of this heavy rain to go through. And we can see that here, especially along the foothills in the mountains in western Maine. That's where we've seen a lot of issues with flash flooding, with the National Weather Service having issued flash flood warnings in the Rumford area, as well as south of Greenville and north of Dover-Foxcroft. And that's with some issues of flash flooding as these heavy rains continue to move through this area over the next couple of hours and the past couple of hours as well. Now, the National Weather Service has issued a lot of watches and warnings throughout the day, between flood warnings throughout most of the area, coastal flood warnings as well as we got into high tide later this afternoon, high wind warnings for down east Maine, and this continues across towards western Maine as well. And offshore of down east Maine, there's a hurricane force wind warning where you might see wind gusts as high like you would see during a hurricane. So we have had a lot of issues with the high wind and the heavy rain today. The good news is that over the next couple of hours, this system will start to exit our area. By the time we get to around 9 p.m., most of the heavy rain will have gone out of our area, and we will start to clear out with just some kind of clouds remaining as we go into late in the day. And then as we get into the day Tuesday, we're still into a little bit of an unsettled pattern, but overall most of us are going to be dry, with the exception of far eastern Maine. Could see a couple of showers from an offshore system. Otherwise, most of us will be a mix of sun and clouds, possibly a PM sprinkle from some snow showers in the mountains behind this system, but most of us are going to start to clear out, and that's the good news because we did have a lot of heavy, intense weather moving through today. Something else to consider is that after this storm system moves through, we are going to get into an area of much colder weather as we go later into the week. So we started out the week on a warm note, but we're going to end it on a rather cold one. So for the marine forecast, we do have that hurricane force winds watch for the down east coastline with seas 10 to 21 feet. So it is very, very windy with very high seas out there as well. The good news with the 7-day forecast coming up is that the rest of the week is pretty quiet. After we go through the rest of this storm overnight tonight, most of the rest of the week is quiet with plenty of sunshine, especially getting into the day on Friday. But Brian and Amanda, we've had a lot of issues with this storm today, a lot of high winds, power outages, flooding, especially river flooding, can continue to occur even after the main event of the storm is over. So especially overnight tonight, if you can stay inside, I recommend doing so. It just makes things easier for people trying to do some cleanup.
Sure. All right, Dana, thank you.